welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you a question. Are you always 100% confident in your cornering? Or do you ever have moments where you think, it doesn't really feel right there through that bend? It's a really common issue for motorcyclists to lack a little bit of confidence in cornering. And in this video I'm going to give you my top tip for getting more confidence in the corners. Now, I've done plenty of bike cornering videos before where we've looked at steering and counter steering and limit point assessment, things like that. But the last video that I posted, although it was in the car, it's highly relevant to motorcyclists. It's about the limit point. Please watch that one, because the limit point is the thing that instructs you around the corner. It tells you how tight the bend is, it tells you need to slow down, how much by, it tells you when to get the gear and when to start squeezing the gas. But in this video I'm going to look at the one thing that will transform your cornering, and that is application of throttle through the corner. Now, you may have seen some of the other videos where I talk about getting the gas on early in the corner and balancing the car and all the rest of it, but in this video I'm going to look at it in a great deal of detail. And I'm going to show you how getting the timing of that application of throttle right can massively increase your confidence in the corners. So, throttle in the corners. Why am I encouraging you to get on the throttle in the corner? And I'm not just talking about, halfway around the corner or just on the corner exit, which is what most people do. I'm talking about almost right at the start of the corner. Well, there's two good reasons. The first is, if we're applying a systematic approach to corners, we should be getting everything else sorted on the way into the corner. So we should be getting a good position on approach, should be getting our speed right for the corner, should be getting an appropriate gear, all in preparation for the corner. That should all happen before you get to the corner. So that all you've got left to do then when you get to the corner itself is steer the bike in with a bit of counter steering and apply the gas. So if you get your timing right, we should have everything sorted and the bike settled with the weight transferring rearward. So here's the first reason that we want the gas applied on the way into a corner, and that is if you go into a corner on the bike's nose, if you're going on the front wheel, so either braking or still decelerating, just like I'm doing, I'm going to do it into this corner like that, off the gas, the bike doesn't feel very stable. And the reason is this. I want you to think of turning the bike and steering the bike as two different things. We turn the bike using the front wheel. The front wheel gives us the direction that we want the bike to turn in. But we steer the bike with both wheels. It's all very well and good turning the bike, pointing it in the direction we want to go. But if the back wheel doesn't exactly follow where you've put the front wheel, the bike isn't going to turn properly, it's not going to steer properly around the corner. And in order to make best use of the grip that you've got on that rear tyre, remember that's the bigger tyre of the two on most motorbikes, then you need to have some weight transferring rearwards. So again, if I go into this turn now off the gas, the bike, it just doesn't feel right. The back end, it's not skipping around, it's not sliding around, but it's just uncertain, it's not sure where it wants to be. Do it again into this one now. I'll leave my speed phase late, roll off the gas there, and as you can see I'm having a couple of goes at turning the bike into the corner. I'm going around the corner like a bit of a 50p piece, like the edge of a 50p piece. That 50p steering is simply because that rear wheel just has a bit of uncertainty about it. It doesn't quite know where to go. And we give the rear wheel that certainty by squeezing the gas into, through and out of the corner. And the second reason that we want some gas in the corner is because, bear with me on this, as I lean the bike into a corner, the wheels, and more importantly the back wheel, gets a bit smaller. I've not gone daft. What happens when you lean the bike into a corner is, because of its curved profile, the contact patch between the tyre and the road moves further round the tyre, and as you move further around the tyre, the diameter of the wheel gets a bit smaller. And if you reduce the size of your rear wheel, effectively what you're doing is gearing the bike down a little bit. Yeah, so that lower diameter, as you move around onto the edge of the tyre, means that for the same speed, the revs need to be just a little bit higher. And if you don't compensate for that slightly lower geared rear wheel, the bike is going to slow in the corner, even if you keep what you think is a consistent throttle, is a steady throttle or a fixed throttle position. The bike will slow down because you've effectively knocked it down half a gear on the way into the corner. So the two reasons we want some throttle at the start and then all the way through the corner are to steady the rear wheel and give it some certainty about where it wants to go, make the bike accurate through the corner, and to compensate for the bike's natural tendency to slow down a little bit when you tip it in, to compensate for that slightly lower gear. I love this bike. I don't get out on this bike enough. This is my 2003 954 Fireblade. I thought if I was going to talk about throttle through corners, I might as well use a bike that can go around corners and that's got a bit of throttle. So now let's talk about how we apply the throttle in the corner. Let's talk about the timing of it. Just pull over for a second so I can explain this and then demonstrate to you a little bit further down the road. So the idea is that first application of gas as you roll the bike into the corner, the intention is not to increase the speed of the motorbike. The intention is to just keep the speed of the bike where it is, because if we're applying system on approach to a corner, then we're going to get our position and our speed right and our gear before we get to the corner. So if we've already got our speed right, we don't want to change it again, we don't want to alter it. You know, system isn't information, position, speed, gear, speed, and then accelerate. But if you don't get on the gas at the start of the corner, you're not going to be able to maintain your set speed through the corner. So please go and watch the previous video about limit points. That shows you how we assess the speed into corners and shows you how we get our speed correct for the corner. Then we're going to choose an appropriate gear, a flexible gear, which is going to give you plenty of pull through the corner without running out of revs. And your first application of gas is just as you tip the bike in, it's just to give it enough gas to keep the speed of the bike where it is. And then there's a second phase of acceleration. The first phase is to keep the speed where it is. The second phase is to increase the speed of the bike. It's to accelerate the bike. And we do that when we see that limit point start moving away. So again, refer back to the previous video. I'll put a link in the description below. Have a look at that. It shows you when that limit point starts to move away. At that point, we can then start to increase the pressure on the gas and we can accelerate the bike out of the corner, either just a little bit or a bit more or a lot. And you know what bikes are like, they accelerate quickly, so there's nothing wrong with getting on that gas. When that limit point moves away and we start accelerating, the bike's going to start standing up, and the limit point is telling us that the corner is opening up and straightening up. So the less lean angle we've got on the bike, the more and more we can get on the gas and the more stable the bike is under acceleration. So, got a corner up here that we're going to look at. It's quite a tight, going in this direction, it's quite a tight left-hander, and there's an awkward sort of manhole cover right on the line where we'd normally take, so I'm going to have to take a slightly more awkward line around the corner. But just listen to me talking through when I'm going. All I want you to concentrate on is what I'm doing with the throttle, what I'm doing with the gas on the bike. So let's go and have a look. So like I say, we're going to apply the throttle in two phases. The first phase to keep the speed of the bike where it is after we've set it on approach, and the second phase is to accelerate the bike out of the corner when we see the limit point moving. So the corner we're going to look at is coming up in a minute. It's a left-hander. Looking across, I can see the traffic going in that direction. Here's the left-hander. So the limit point's getting closer. I'm off the gas and slowing down. I'm taking a lower gear on the gas now to keep the speed as it is. Then the limit point moves away and we're accelerating the bike. So there's two phases to the application of gas through the corner. Let's look at it again in this next right-hander that's coming up. The limit point's getting closer, I'm just off the gas. Now it's starting to move, I've got some positive gas on to keep the speed where it is, and I'm just going to keep a little bit of gas through the corner to set the speed and then accelerate as we come out of the corner. So hopefully you can see there that there's 2 phases to applying the throttle on the bike. And all I want you to do is apply that and look where you want to go. Here's the other big tip with confidence with cornering. Don't look directly down in front of you. If you look down there, that's where you'll go. And looking short doesn't give you a good accurate aim for the direction you want to put the bike in. Remember, we're moving this bike along the road at speed, and I can't do anything about what's immediately in front of the bike there. It's too late. So I want my eyes up and in the distance. So I want you to practice looking where you want to go and using that 2-phase application of throttle. So let's just try it again on this section of road. We're going to go through that bend, which now in this direction will be a right-hander, and I'm going to talk in detail through what I'm doing with the throttle at different stages of the corner. Remember the advantages. You know, if you look at a bike from the side, it's travelling at a set speed like this now. I'm doing 60 miles an hour. The weight is evenly balanced between both the front and the rear wheel, but as soon as I do anything to slow the bike, roll off the gas or brake, the weight goes significantly forward. And what that does is it really massively increases the grip between the front tyre and the road surface, which is what you might think you'd need going into a corner. But actually, think about how much you've removed from the rear wheel and how much you actually want that rear wheel to follow the front wheel accurately. It's not going to do it if you're going into the corner on the nose. So what a nice positive application of throttle just to settle the rear of the bike and to keep the speed where it is. So on approach here, near side position, brakes, down the gear, tip the bike in gently, squeeze the gas, squeeze it, and as the limit point moves away, then we accelerate the bike. I'm going to do it through the next series of bends on this little stretch of road now. So squeezing the gas there to keep the speed where it is. Now as the limit point moves away, I'm building that speed up. Up into third. On approach to this left-hander up towards the centre line. The limit point's gone here, so I can give it a good squeeze through there right from the start of the corner. Not a problem. Again, here up towards the centre line, the limit point's starting to move now, so a bit of positive gas, and then as it fires away, we increase the application of throttle. Near side position on approach to this right-hander, squeeze the gas but bring it up towards the centre line. Look at the limit point, it's starting to move, so we're on the gas a bit and then increasing it as it moves away. Near side, squeeze, in towards the near side again for this one. I can really keep squeezing the gas down here because I've got a good open view. But then look at the limit point for this one, it's getting closer. I'm on the brakes, I'm off the brakes now, rolling it in, little bit of gas to keep the speed where it is, and then brakes again for this left-hander, little bit of gas to keep the speed where it is, looking through the bend, little bit of gas, and then increasing it there. Now here we've got a tighter section of bend, so it's brakes, down one gear, tip the bike in with a little bit of gas to keep the speed where it is, and then accelerate away. And that acceleration away from the bend is what's really exciting on any motorbike. I don't care what you ride. Could have done this on the C90, we'd still enjoy it. And just to clarify for you again, I've done a little shot of the bike going through that corner in both directions from above using the drone. And on there you'll be able to see where I'm braking, where I'm changing gear, and as I roll the bike in you can see that we've got phase 1 of the application of the throttle and then phase 2. And phase 1, as I've been describing, is we just set the speed, keep the speed of the bike where it is with a little squeeze on the throttle, and then phase 2 is we start standing the bike up, is where we roll a bit more of the gas on, or even a lot more of the throttle on, and increase the speed of the bike through the corner as you exit the corner. So I hope you found that useful. I know a lot of people I take out coaching find that getting the timing of the application of throttle through a corner is transformative, massively increases the confidence through corners. You will feel that the bike just digs in and goes where you want it to. As long as you look in the direction, look exactly where you want to go, the bike will dig in nicely and it'll be with you. The bike will feel with you. It's nothing worse than feeling like the bike isn't with you, that you're a passenger. You want to feel like it's an extension of you and it's doing what you want it to do. So just remember, you turn the bike with the handlebars, but you steer the bike with a combination of the handlebars and the throttle, the application of throttle through the corners. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Certainly enjoyed making it. It's been a while since I've been out on the blade. Getting a little bit up, well, so I say me, my knees are getting a little bit old for this bike. I can't ride it for long these days. But you really feel alive when you do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. You got something out of it. Go and have a look at the website, ragelocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced and performance driving and riding. Information about the books that I've written, how you can get hold of a copy, and how you can get a day's driver or rider coaching B if you fancy a ride out on some of these roads. Drop me a line and we'll sort something out. And give us a follow on Twitter as well, at RageLocal. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.